and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, with the City of Hampton's Communications and Marketing Department. And today we're going to talk about budgets and numbers. It's a topic I'm not very good at, but our guest is. It's Gloria Washington, and she's our budget director. Welcome, Gloria.
Thank you.
And you and I came to the city almost at the same time. You beat me by a few months, I think.
That's correct.
What is your background? What had you done before?
My background, I've actually worked in 3 other cities. I worked with the City of Norfolk, I've worked with City of Virginia Beach, and the last position I had was with the City of Portsmouth. And I worked in their budget departments. I've got over about 25 years of budgeting experience. And it's so interesting because in each locality, of course, you have to have a balanced budget.
Right,
but
the basic rules apply.
The basic rules apply. However, the processes are very different. And what I've learned here in the City of Hampton is we do a lot of public outreach on the capital improvement budget side and on the operating budget side with the road shows. Having worked in the other cities, we did the public hearings and we did some of the road shows, but it seems like it's a very high commitment in the City of Hampton, along with Mary, the city manager, that is critical that she takes the budget process and get public input from the citizens.
So how was that different for you?
For me, it was different because in the other cities, it was more of an internal process. Coming to the City of Hampton, the staffing and all of that. Coming to the City of Hampton, it puts more of a public face, which I like, to the citizens. So you're going out to the various communities, you're going to the business improvement districts, you're saying it's just not a book of numbers, that these are services that we provide the city, they're taxpayer dollars, so that it makes it more meaningful. So when you get to the end of the budget process, hopefully the citizens understand more where their tax dollars are going and what they're being utilized for.
Well, and ultimately, it's like a household budget on a really big scale. Is once you make those commitments about what is important to you and what that costs, it drives what you can buy. It drives what you can do for a year.
Absolutely.
But it's hard, all those numbers and details and...
The numbers and details are very hard, but we have like a process where we involve what we call like our budget review committee, which are our department heads. We rotate those every year. We have representation from the schools. We have an assistant city managers, and then we have a great budget office team of analysts that actually go in and work with the departments so that we understand on a daily basis what's happening with the services, and then we try to relate that and take that back out to the citizens.
Well, and to me, and as a reporter and an editor, I looked at city budgets, a fair amount. And to me, one of the things that's different about Hampton's is it does have that element in it that says, this is what we will provide, here's what we did last year, here's how many goals we met. I mean, it shows what level you're actually paying for, and there's an accountability to it that I think isn't always, maybe it's there, but it's not as easy to find in some other budgets.
And where Hampton is unique, they do a services budget. I mean, of course we can provide line item details, but they actually do a services budget. Say, for example, in most of the budgets you'll see a leadership and management category, but in every department you will see 5 or 6 services that are described that tells what's being provided to the citizens, what the cost is, what are the positions that are tied to that. And also what's included in the budget document is performance measures to say, okay, this is how well we are doing things. So there are benchmarks. And that links into, we've received the award, I know over 15 years, the General Finance Officers Association Budgeting Award.
Now what is this organization?
This is a national organization that looks at all of the budgets across the United States. And it's like a scorecard that they use regarding your budget message, your budget document, your financial policies. And we actually submit the budget document to this association every year. We have to go through and document all of our policies and procedures, and then they give us a scorecard. It's like a benchmark on how well you're doing. And Hampton has been very good at improving the document every year, but like you said, it's a citizens-based budget. So they have talked about that in their comments that we get back every year from them.
Well, and I've read some of those comments because I remember I was writing the press release one year. One of the things that's interesting to me is that there was this whole government reform movement, and it was before I was in government, so 15 years or so ago, in which people said there's too much red tape, government costs too much, how can we streamline and make it more like the private sector? And in some ways you can't, because the private sector doesn't use tax money.
Right.
And you have purchasing requirements that sometimes are costly, but that also ensure there's no favoritism and that you get fair deals. But in other ways, like moving away from a line item budget to a services budget, explain that just a little bit more, what that difference is.
The difference is a line item budget, for example, let's just use office supplies, that you would be restricting a department that you would actually manage it by office supplies, say our salaries, we do restrict that, travel, those type, that you would be managing the budget by those line items.
So for example, if I had an office supply budget and I wasn't going to use it all, but I needed money in another category to, go to a conference or to buy supplies for cameras or something different, I wouldn't be able to just move that money over. I would have to go to council or go to somebody else and ask for that. Or worst case scenario in governments, I don't think this happened in Hampton, but the worst case scenario is I'm like, well, I have this in office supplies, so I'm going to spend it. But I need it over here, so I'm going to go ask for more. And our city's philosophy is very different.
Yes, we're very different, and we try to make sure that we let department heads and division managers manage their budget, not to micromanage by the line item, to manage by the services. Of course, we make sure that we're very cautious regarding personal services, that we manage that through the budget.
What does personal services
Personal
mean?
Services, I'm sorry, it's your salaries, your overtime, your holiday pay, any of those, because we have strict guidelines on, we know how many positions have been authorized for the year, so we want to make sure that we have enough funding to pay everyone. That's very important.
That's very important.
But with the other categories, we try to give flexibility to departments. Of course, if they're going between departments, that comes through the budget department, and we do council notifications quarterly to ensure that council knows what's going on when we're doing those various transfers.
And there's a plus and a minus, and I know the federal government is going through this with sequestration this year, where the Pentagon would say, if you would give us authority to transfer money from one line item to another, we could manage better. But the governing body, the Congress, seems to want to set that priority so that they have limited options.
Right.
And there's some oversight certainly from council and from you and from the city manager. If I willy-nilly move my money around, I can't just hire more people, for example. There's a lot of controls on that.
There's a lot of controls there. And I think that the good thing about it is when you hire your experts as your department managers, you want them to manage the budget. You don't want them to feel like I'm having to go in every time and do a line item review. Even though we can provide that information, the transparency of it is that you want your departments to manage, and even between departments. I mean, if there are some good ideas where departments are talking to each other, we said, okay, maybe we need to do this service a different way. And that was the beauty of having the budget review committees. That's a little different than what I've been used to in other cities, where you have a group of department heads that are coming together to review the budget, look at the submissions, and come up with cross-departmental ideas that can save the city money or enhance areas that we need to enhance.
So there's more collaboration.
There's a lot more collaboration, absolutely, yes.
So how is this for you at this point in your career to be doing what you're doing?
I think at this point in my career, because I've been in budgeting about 30 years, this is like...
But you're so young, Gloria.
I know, thank you. This is like the ultimate for me. I know that our city manager has gotten awards from the White House regarding the I values and the budgeting process. So this to me is like capping off my career. I plan hopefully to stay here a while and to continually learn. I mean, at some point, we know maybe in the future, and we don't know what that would be, we would like to possibly get into biennial budgeting. We'll have to see, what the political realms would be and whether people would be in support of that. Also, we're looking at that we're always evolving, that we want to do things better. And so looking at road shows, helping to participate in that, listening to the citizens. That's the bigger piece, because you're right, we want to take Hampton to the next level, and with Hampton First coming aboard, giving us strategic direction regarding downtown, and where we just had a council retreat where we're trying to make sure that we're all looking at the vision and that everything that we're doing in the city is meeting that vision for the city.
And I think then the other part in this is sometimes where our departments work together is reporting back to people about how the money was spent and what the
Yes.
accomplishments were, because
Yes.
sometimes a project takes so long that
Absolutely.
you forget. You know,
Yes.
you forget where you started and where you end up.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, so, and you also are looking at maybe making some technological investments in a budgeting system that might also allow us to be a little more nimble and flexible in terms of getting that document together and changing it as it goes.
Yes, we're trying to look at a system that would be like a one database, and it would provide all the information that we would need. It would be internet-based, so it really provides flexibility to departments, and also it would provide flexibility to council and to the manager, the higher levels of government, where you can actually go in and see the information. It would produce the book. It has the performance measurements capability in there. It has a scorecard, benchmarking data. So it's a system that's currently used by City of Portsmouth and City of Virginia Beach. It's out of Sarasota, Florida, so that's something very exciting that we're hoping that we can get in the near future.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that's a little bit different about Hampton too, is that a lot of cities produce the manager's budget, and then there are tremendous changes between then and council.
Right.
And we in Hampton tend to push that manager's budget later, but make a lot of changes up to then based on the citizen input. So it's really a different timetable and a different pace.
It is
maybe
a very
than,
different pace,
than
yes,
what
because
you're used to.
you put a lot of your effort, which is good because I've worked it both ways in other cities where you put a lot more effort after the recommended to the approved, and there are a lot of changes. Here, I think, like you say, with the citizen input that we get, which is probably 300% more than some of the other cities, we put a lot of effort into making sure we're getting most of what we want in that recommended budget. So we have 3 weeks from April 15th, which is usually the date it has to go to council, till May 8th for the adoption to make changes. And in the almost 3 years that I've been here, we have made minor changes between that time frame, and that's a result of doing the very hard work early on in the process.
I know, that's kind of stunning, but I think the manager does that. She gets the input not just from the citizens, but from council up front.
Yes.
So there isn't a whole lot of staff time going off in wrong directions that are going to get changed later. Well, hold up that book, Gloria, because I think people need to see it, and I know you're proud of it.
Very proud of it. It's about 450 pages. We call it like the budget encyclopedia, but if you really wanted to get a snapshot of what the city is doing, the city manager's budget message, it's very good. I mean, it tells the story. And then you can go in and look at the various tabs regarding public safety, youth education and families, if you want to look at specific departments within the budget.
Now, how would people be able to look at one of these?
This is actually online. It's
It's a giant PDF.
It's
I'll
a
tell
giant
you, it
PDF.
takes like 5 minutes to download.
It does take like 5 minutes to download, but it's out there online, I think since July 2nd, www.hampton.gov and budget, and they'll be able to access it that way. We've also are doing discs for if anyone wanted to get a copy of a CD, we will have that available. It's in the libraries.
So printed copies are in the libraries for people who are not online savvy.
Not online savvy.
And sometimes it helps to touch it and flip back and forth. Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, I know you just got this one done, and it'll be time almost to start working on next year's. It is almost a continual process, the way we roll it out with the capital improvement, and that's the big spending, you know, concrete borrowing kind of long-term things, and then the annual operating.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, we've already started looking at 15, just trying to do some preliminary projections on what the fiscal outlook will be. And another thing that we do is we try to go to other cities. Virginia Beach has what they call this economic outlook, and we try to attend that to bring all of the neighboring cities together just to see what what we're going to be looking at in future years.
Because there are some trends that affect the region as a whole in terms
Absolutely.
of whether or not people are buying new cars, and
Yes.
home values
Home
make a big
values, that's a
difference in the
big
amount of
piece.
taxes we can collect. So.
Yes.
So you stay busy, that's what you're saying?
I do. I stay busy all the time, but I love it, and it's a passion. It has to be, because it's a lot of hard work, but at the end of the day, you feel like that you're making a difference for the citizens of Hampton. So that's
why we're here.
and that's
right?
why we're here.
Great.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank
Okay.
you, Gloria.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
Okay.
And thank you for watching. I hope that document makes more sense to you now. And please know that it's online and in the libraries. If you have any questions about how your tax money is being spent, you can look it up. Thank you.